والصلاة والسلام رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن سار على سبيله إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So continuing our discussion of the book Arba'in An-Nawawiyya, this Arba'in Hadith that's collected by Imam An-Nawawi rahimahullah. So we had started discussing this particular book over the last week or so, and we had covered the first hadith. So we have completed discussing the first hadith that is mentioned here. And today, inshallah ta'ala, that will continue by discussing the second hadith, hadith Athani, as mentioned in this particular collection by Imam An-Nawawi rahimahullah. So we'll be discussing the hadith, and as we mentioned, regarding concerning this method that we'll give, one concerning that, mention the hadith, and then we'll discuss concerning the make takrij of the hadith, and then discuss matter pertaining to the narrator of the hadith. So in this hadith that is mentioned as the second hadith of An-Nawawi rahimahullah, he mentioned an Omar radiyallahu anhu أيضا قال بينما نحن عند رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اطلع علينا رجل شديد بياض الثياب شديد سواد الشعر لا يرى عليه أثر السفر ولا يعرفه منا أحد حتى جلس إلى النبي عليه السلام فأسند ركبتيه إلى ركبتيه ووضع كفيه على فخذيه وقال يا محمد أخبرني عن الإسلام فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الإسلام أن تشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمدا رسول الله وتقيم الصلاة وتؤتي الزكاة وتصوم رمضان وتحج البيت إن استطاع عليه سبيلا قال صدقت فعجبنا له يسأله ويصدقه قال أخبرني عن الإيمان قال أن تؤمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر وتؤمن بالقدر خيره وشره قال صدقت قال أخبرني عن الإحسان قال صلى الله عليه وسلم أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك قال أخبرني عن الساعة قال ما المسؤول عنها بعالم من السائل قال أخبرني عن أمارتها قال صلى الله عليه وسلم أن تلد الأمة ربتها وأن ترى حفاة عراة عالية يرع الشاة يتتاولون في البنيان ثم انطلق فلبثت مليا ثم قال يا عمر أتدري من السائل قلت الله ورسوله أعلم قال فإنه جبريل أتاكم يعلمكم أمر دينكم رواه Muslim. So this is the hadith that is mentioned by the author rahimahullah in this particular, as the second hadith in this collection of An-Nawawi rahimahullah, and the meaning of the hadith that we'll discuss concerning the meaning of the hadith and aspect of this hadith. So as for this hadith that is mentioned as the second hadith in this particular collection, where is the hadith of Omar ibn Khattab, and this hadith also narrated by Ibn Umar and his father Omar ibn Khattab. So this narration by way of Ibn Umar and his father Omar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhuma, where he mentioned this hadith, where of the meaning of the hadith he mentioned بينما نحن, that we were sitting together with the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then a man appears, شديد البياض الثياب, that his clothing was extremely white, شديد سواد الشعر, and also his hair was very dark, لا يرى عليه أثر السفر, and he did not show the sign of a traveler, لا يعرفه منا أحد, none from amongst us recognized him, حتى جلس, until this person he approached forward and he sat in front of the by the Prophet ﷺ, and he rested his rukbah, his knee upon his knee, and also he placed his kaf, his hand upon his fact, upon him. Then he mentioned, Ya Muhammad, akhbarani an Islam. Then he asked concerning what is Islam, al-Hadith. So this particular hadith that is mentioned as the second hadith in this particular collection, that the first until the end of the hadith, after first thing of this hadith, that regarding concerning those who have narrated this particular hadith, regarding those who have narrated. So in the hadith he continued to mention regarding what is Islam. The Prophet ﷺ explained regarding the pillars of Islam. Then he said, Sadaqt, you have spoken the truth. Then those who were present, they were somewhat amazed by this person that he asked the question. Then he kind of mentioned that you have spoken the truth. Then the person asked, an iman, the second question regarding akhbarani an iman, what is iman? Then the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned an tu'min billah. Then he mentioned that is to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his angels, his book, his messenger, the day of judgment, and also an tu'min bil qadar, and also to believe in qadar, is good and is bad. Then the person mentioned sadaqt, that you have spoken the truth. Then again he asked, inform me regarding ihsan. Then the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned, an ta'budullah, is for you to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ka'annaka tarahu, as if you see him, even though you see him not, but know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he sees you. Then the person asked the fourth question, akhbarani an as-sa'ah, inform me regarding the hour. Then the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that the one who asked, the one who's being asked, no less than the one who's being asked. Then he mentioned the next question after this, inform me, akhbarani an amaratiha, inform me regarding the signs of the hour. Then he mentioned of those signs is for the slave girl to give birth to her master, or for the slave to give birth to her master. Then mentioned antara, and also that you will see regarding those who are the bare-feeted Bedouins, that there will be ones competing in building buildings, and the ones who were rare are the ones who pasture sheep, that they will be the ones that they will be competing in building lofty building. Then he mentioned in talaqa, then a person left and they remained for a while. Then the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, then Omar ثم قال يا عمر. Then Omar was asked by the Prophet ﷺ, Atadri man sahil, do you know who the person who asked the questioner? Then he mentioned, Allahu qultu, Allahu wa rasuluhu alam, Allah and the Prophet, Allah and his prophets knows best. Then he mentioned the Prophet ﷺ, that this is Jibreel who came to teach you regarding matters pertaining to your ad-deen. So as for the hadith, I mentioned rawahu Muslim. So this hadith is narrated by Imam Muslim in the narration of Ibn Umar and his father Umar al-Khattab, is narrated by Imam Muslim. Also Al-Busiri, he mentioned wa Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal wa ashab as-Sunan al-Arba. And also this narration is narrated by Imam Ahmad rahimahullah in his Musnad, and also ashab Qutub as-Sunan al-Arba, ashab as-Sunan al-Arba, Abu Dawood, At-Tirmidhi, Nasahi wa Ibn Majah also collected this hadith as mentioned by Busiri. Also regarding this particular hadith, as they mentioned here, so the first thing regarding takhrij of hadith, so regarding who are those who have narrated this particular hadith. So as we had mentioned that amongst Kutubu Sitta, that with narration of Umar ibn Khattab is narrated by Al-Muslim and also Ashab As-Sunan and also Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Also this hadith is narrated by Abu Hurairah. Also this particular hadith is narrated by Abu Hurairah anhu among the Sahaba. And that narration that is collected by Muslim and also Bukhari. So the narration of this hadith with slight change in the wording, with a slight difference in the wording, but also this hadith is narrated by Imam Bukhari and also Imam Muslim in their Sahih with the narration of Abu Hurairah. So this hadith also have various wordings. There's a book in hadith, that a very important book in hadith, that the author and this book he can somewhat collect concerning the hadith in Kutubu Sittah. So the author of this book, this book that is referred to as Al-Jami' al-Usul fi Ahadeeth al-Rasul. Al-Jami' or Jami' al-Usul fi Ahadeeth al-Rasul. And the author of this book is Ibn Athir. Ibn Athir al-Jazari rahimahullah, that he wrote this book, and he died 606 al-Hijri. He died 660 al-Hijri. Who's Abi Sa'adat al-Mubarak ibn Muhammad ibn Athir al-Jazari rahimahullah, that he wrote this book, Jami' al-Usul fi Ahadeeth al-Rasul. And the concept of this book is that he collected the narrations or ahadith in Kutub al-Sittah. He collected ahadith in Kutub al-Sittah with the various wording, the difference in the wordings. So you might go to one particular hadith and he will mention all the various wording of that hadith amongst Kutub al-Sittah. Take into account Ibn Athir, as we had mentioned, that Ibn Athir rahimahullah, amongst those ulama who does not, when he mentioned Kutub al-Sittah, he means Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, Nasahi, and Muwatta of Imam Malik. So he does not, Ibn Athir rahimahullah is not of those ulama who include Ibn Majah amongst Kutub al-Sittah. So again, as we had stated before, what we have come to know as Kutub al-Sittah, that is Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i in al-Mujtaba al-Sughra, and also Ibn Majah. This is what is popularly known today as Kutub al-Sittah. What are they? Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, and Ibn Majah. These are referred to as Kutub al-Sittah. Nam, and as we have said before, that this book, that is what is known and followed today. This is what is known and followed today. But the ulama before that, they had a difference regarding the sixth book of the sixth collection. So the first five, Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, and Nasahi, are agreed upon. But the sixth of this collection, of the sixth book, that there's a difference in ulama as to what to include as the sixth of these six books. Ibn Athir rahimahullah, of those who hold that the sixth book of Kutub al-Sittah, it is Muwatta of Imam Malik, not Ibn Majah. The sixth book in Kutub al-Sittah with Ibn Athir, we say it is Muwatta of Imam Malik, not Ibn Majah. But what we know today and have been established today, the sixth book of Kutub al-Sittah, it is Ibn Majah. Clear? So as we mentioned, there's a khilaf between ulama as to Kutub al-Sittah, the sixth book of Kutub al-Sittah. So Ibn Athir rahimahullah, all concerning that, Al-Muwatta. So when he mentioned concern that in this collection of this book, that you mentioned, for example, this hadith, where he mentioned the hadith of Ibn Umar and his father Omar ibn Khattab, that he mentioned regarding concerning hadith, he mentioned Muslim, with this narration that is mentioned here, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Abu Dawood, wal Nasa'i, as he does not include Ibn Majah. So he will not mention Ibn Majah in this collection. And he mentioned the various different wordings. Also the hadith of Abu Hurairah is narrated by Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawood, wal Nasa'i, according to Ibn Athir, as he mentions here. And that narration of Abu Hurairah is also similar narration of Abi Dharr. So Abu Dharr also have a similar narration of that of Abu Hurairah. That's also in Bukhari and Muslim and others. Then also you have a narration of Anas ibn Malik of the same hadith with the same general meaning, the hadith of Anas ibn Malik, and that's in Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Abi Dawood, wa Nasa'i. So that's concerning that hadith. So Ibn Athir rahimullah, so that's the thing concerning the book of Ibn Athir, an important book regarding the different wording that may be found in a hadith in Kutubu Sitta. So if you want the wordings of a hadith that is found in Kutubu Sitta, it will give the difference in certain wordings. And the hadith that we're discussing, the hadith of Ibn Umar and Abihi and his father Ibn Umar and Umar al-Khattab radhiyallahu, that this particular hadith also, there's like a story that goes along with the hadith. So there's a story and the reason why this hadith was mentioned by Ibn Umar, that Imam Muslim rahimahullah, he mentioned this particular story that goes along with the hadith. So as for that story that's mentioned, it's stated by Yahya ibn Ya'mar قال كان أول من قال في القدر بالبصرة, that the first amongst the people who mention things regarding al-qadr in Basra, Ma'bad al-Ju'ani, is a person called Ma'bad al-Ju'ani. So he's the first person who kind of somewhat start to deviate on matters regarding Iman bil Qadr. Clear? So then he mentioned, Intalaqtu ana wa Humayd ibn Abdul Rahman al-Himari. So he mentioned that myself and my companion Abdul Rahman ibn Himari, that Hajain or Mu'tamarain, that we decide to go for Hajj or for Umrah. Nam, that he mentioned, فَقُلْنَا لَوْ لَكِينَا أَحَدًا مِنْ أَصْحَابِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم سَأَلْنَاهُ أَمَّا يَقُولُ أَهُلَا فِي الْقَدْرِ. So he mentioned that myself and my companion, we decide to go for Hajj and Umrah, which is in Mecca, with the intention that we hope to meet someone from the companions of the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so we can ask them regarding what these people are saying about Qadr. فَوُفِّقَ لَنَا عَبْدُ اللَّهِ ibn Umar ibn Khattab. But we were blessed that we met Umar ibn Khattab, Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Khattab. So the person that they actually met from the Sahaba was Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Khattab radhiyallahu anhuma. داخلا المسجد, when he was inside the masjid. وَاقْتَنَفَتْهُ, so we went close to him, approached him, أَنَا وَصَاحِبِهِ, me and my companion. We went towards him or approached him. أَحَدُنَا أَنْ يَمِينِ وَآخِرْ أَنْ شِمَالِ, one of us to his right and another to his left. فَظَنَنْتُ أَنَّ صَاحِبِي سَيَكِلُ الْكَلَامِ إِلَيَّ, so I thought my companions would allow me the one to speak on our behalf. فَقُلْتُ أَبَا عبد الرحمن إنه قد ظهر قبلنا ناس يقرؤون القرآن, that he started to explain the situation to Ibn Umar, that these people that have appeared, that they read the Quran. يتكفرون العلم, that they are people who are seekers of knowledge and atba' of knowledge. Nam. وذكر من شأنهم, and he mentioned things about them. وأنهم يزعمون أن لا قدر, and they claim that there's no qadr. وأن الأمر عنف, and that the matter is al-unf. فقال إذا لقيت هؤلاء فأخبرهم أني بريء منهم. Then Ibn Umar mentioned, if you meet these people, then tell them I'm free from them. وأنهم براء مني, and they are free from me. والذي يحلف به عبد الله ibn Umar, that he made an oath, لو أن أحدهم مثل أحد ذهبا أنفقه ما قبل الله minhu hatta yu'min bil qadar, that if they were to give that in charity, that of Uhud, mithl Uhud, the mountain of Uhud, dhahaban of dhahab, give it away in charity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not accept it from them until they believe in qadar. ثم قال حدثني أبي, Omar ibn Khattab. Then Ibn Omar mentioned, my father have informed me. حدثني أبي, Omar ibn Khattab. قال, then Omar mentioned, بينما نحن جلوسا عند رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ذات يوم اطلع علينا رجل شديد البياض الثياب الحديث. So from this, he kind of explained to us regarding the circumstance why this hadith was mentioned by Ibn Umar ibn-rajab anhuma, that people that came to him who, due to some things, certain things that occurred in Basra, and he wanted clarification, they wanted clarification on this matter. So two amongst those people from the Tullab al-Ilm who decide to made a rihla, a quest in trying to meet one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, so as to get some clarity on this matter. Some of the mashayikh have even written regarding just this portion, regarding some of the adab that the person can take from just this portion that we just read, regarding the story behind why this hadith was mentioned. Regarding Yahya ibn Ya'mar and his companion Abdul Rahman, Humayd ibn Abdul Rahman, why they made this journey for Hajj and for Umrah or Humrah, where we said the quest, the purpose behind this making of Hajj, this journey was to meet one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, so as to get some clarity on this matter. On this matter, there are certain points that can be taken regarding of those things regarding the adab of talib al-ilm and majalis al-ilm. So of there are certain points that can be taken regarding the adab of the talib al-ilm. Of those things, one, rihla fi talabat al-ilm. It shows regarding one taking a journey, traveling to seek of knowledge. So of those points that can be taken regarding of this quest of Yahya ibn Ya'mar and his companion Humayd ibn Abdul Rahman, that they decided to make a journey so as to get clarity, but also to engage in an act of ibadah, which is al-Hajj or Umrah. So it shows regarding concerning that of their quest is to perform an act of ibadah, which is Hajj or Umrah, but also of those things to benefit from is regarding seeking of knowledge. So it shows regarding al-rihla fi talabat al-ilm. It's showing a person taking journeys and traveling to seek of knowledge, even for far distance. So they were in Basra, with a part of Iraq then, and to come to Medina or to come to Mecca to seek of knowledge. So that journey, that during that time may take weeks, possibly. But they did so to seek of knowledge and also ibadah. And as they mentioned, so they mentioned regarding concern this part, where they mentioned that again, that when a person finds a mention that people were discussing concerning a matter that relates to al-qadr, and I mentioned of the first individual to open that discussion, Ma'bad al-Juhani. So when a person see people start to deviate from what is the accepted viewpoint of Islam, then the person should return back to the ulama to seek of clarity. When a matter that is somewhat well established and known, but we find that people are saying something that seems to be contradicting what is the established norm amongst the Muslim and the teaching of Islam, then one needs to get clarity and not to accept things which seem to be going away from the norm. Then one needs to seek clarity, but that clarity to be taken from the ulama, clarity to be sought from the ulama. So those individuals were themselves talabat al-ilm, but they wanted to get clarity from those who are senior to them. So they went for Umrah and for the likes, for Umrah or for Hajj And also, as they mention, that they want to ask, سألناه, they mention, لَكِينَ أَحَدٍ, that they want to seek one of the companions of the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So regarding getting clarity from the ulama, that a person, anyone who is qualified from the ulama, then one can take from them. And they're from Ahlul Sunnah. So it shows regarding that this ta'assub towards a particular alim is not something which is blameworthy. So the person having ta'assub towards a particular alim, then this is something which is blameworthy and not praiseworthy. Rather, the person return to the ulama of Islam, of Ahlul Sunnah, without specifying, unless one specify an alim who may be a specialist in a particular field. The ulama of hadith regarding matters concerning hadith. The ulama of fiqh regarding matters concerning fiqh. The ulama of tafsir in matters regarding tafsir. But for the person to kind of somewhat, to have this ta'assub, this partisanship towards one particular alim compared to others, that is something which is blameworthy. So they mention that قُلْنَا لَوْ لَقِينَا أَحَدًا مِنْ أَصْحَابِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ, that we wanted to meet one of the companions of the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is one of the ulama. And also seeking in certain matters that are very problematic, to go back to the kibar ulama. When a matter is very problematic, then the person go back to the kibar ulama, and not just to any talib al-ilm, not just to any mashaykh, but rather to go back to the senior amongst the ulama existing of that time. Then it mentioned that by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by tawfiq Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they were able to meet up Abdullah ibn Omar ibn Khattab, who's one of the kibar ulama of the Sahaba. So Ibn Omar, even though maybe young, but still recognized to be one of the kibar ulama from among the Sahaba. And by the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when a person's intention is good, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make easy his path, and also for him to achieve his goal with people who are the most qualified. So he met someone who was well qualified, which is Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Khattab from amongst the Sahaba. Then he mentioned that he was in the masjid. Then he mentioned that they approached Ibn Umar and they asked him question regarding this matter. So it shows regarding that also being able to identify who are the ulama we refer back to. So of those things regarding the talib al-ilm, that knowing the criteria of the people that we can refer back to regarding serious matters, that we need clarity on those things. So for those people then with the Sahaba, and for every generation you have its own ulama and the senior ones. So of those sifat of an alim, what will we look for in an alim? Especially, so as concerned the alim, of the sifat of an alim, which I discussed between the ulama. That alim to be one who said to be one, salamat al-muttaqad. That an alim, that his aqidah is sound. Is known to be upon sound aqidah. That's of the criteria of an alim that we can refer back to. That alim asks also, أخذ العلم من أهل العلم. That alim also is known to have taken knowledge from the ulama. So of the criteria of an alim that we can refer back to is that alim is also of those who is known to have taken ilm from the ulama of his time. So he has gone through a process where he has studied from the ulama of his time and was nurtured by the ulama of his time. That's number two. Also that alim is recognized amongst the people to be of the ulama of his time. Amongst the general tullab al-ilm and the general people, that they recognize that alim to be of the kibar ulama of their time. So for every generation, you have some of the ulama that they will stand out and they are recognized as being of the kibar ulama of their time. So each generation will have such ulama, and they're the one that we refer back to. Also of those things that we look to regarding that alim, that we are able to identify his area of speciality. تخصصه. His area that he specializes in. Is an alim in fiqh, is an alim in hadith, is an alim in aqidah, is an alim in usul al-fiqh. What are the areas that he may be said to be more a specialist in that area? He has ilm overall, but he may be more of a specialist in a particular area. So refer to him in the thing that he is a specialist in. Also that alim that we look to and refer back to, that alim also that is known for husnul khuluq wal adab, that is known to be of one who is known for his good conduct and behavior. Also the alim that we look to, that alim also, that alim is known to be alim, that an alim tajarrud min at-ta'assub wa ittiba' al-hawa. That alim also is known to not to be one, he free himself, is not known to be one who follow his own desires, nor be one who he has ta'assub towards others. So that alim is not known to be one who's muta'assub, that he has that is one that have ta'assub, that is of this partisanship towards particular individual, and also not known to be one who follow his desire, but rather is known to be one who luzumu sunnah wal ittiba' sunnah, that is known to be one who follow the sunnah and act upon the sunnah, and he's keen about this. So of the things to know, that you look to his salah, how he prays. So the ulama Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, regarding awliya ar-Rahman, he mentioned they have certain sifat. They have certain sifat. So of those things which is of the sifat an alim, that person, if you want to reckon an alim and you're able to meet him, look to see how he prays. How he prays in his salah. So if you want to reckon an alim regarding his level of ittiba' sunnah and his luzum sunnah, watch to see how he prays. Does he pray? How? And by his salah you can tell whether this person is keen about the sunnah or not. If he prays according to the Prophet, the sunnah as outlined by the Prophet Islam, then that's a good sign. Then also with the alim that is not known to be yadhu ila nafsi, that he doesn't call the people to himself. Call the people to al-kitab wa sunnah. Also with that alim that we refer back to of the sign to look to regarding his manhaj. Fi talaqqi wal look for his manhaj regarding how the source that he refer back to regarding Islam. What's his sources that he refer to and use regarding Islam? Al-Quran wa Sunnah wa manhaj al-Salaf al-Salih. That's the alim that we look to, the one who follow the way, the method of the Salaf al-Salih. So those are the sifat of the alim that we refer back to. Those are the sifat, some of the sifat of the alim that we refer back to. Also, in the hadith it mentioned regarding of those adab, it mentioned, as it mentioned regarding that when it mentioned the sat, so it shows also the virtue of majalis al-ilm. It shows the hadith, it shows the virtue of majalis al-ilm. And after the talib al-ilm, that also that the majalis al-ilm, it has certain conduct and behavior that one should be mindful of. And also how the person, in concerning conduct and behavior, how the person sits is of the rules regarding majalis al-ilm. The person will be mindful how he sits. Also in his appearance. So the person, when he approached the Prophet Islam, that he came and he sat and he placed, sat in a way, he places his hands on his knees. So he sat in a way which is showing good manners. Also that he places hand also on his so also places hand in an appropriate place. So not leaning back with his hands behind his back. then that's not appropriate concerning majalis al-ilm. None to the side, none also that type of majal, that way of sitting is not appropriate regarding majalis al-ilm. So the person sit in a way which is appropriate, as our ikhwan are sitting. So the way concerning one to sit in majalis al-ilm. Also in the majalis, as I mentioned, that in the hadith, that other people were present and each person was silent and listening to what was being said, and also not fidgeting and not speaking with others, then that is not appropriate regarding majalis al-ilm. And also regarding majalis al-ilm, also the person's appearance, that a person somewhat who appeared, he was neatly attired. So concerning majalis al-ilm, that a person tried to wear appropriate clothing and dress proper in the majalis al-ilm. So it mentioned rajul shadil bayad al-thiyab. So he was wearing white. So from this, the fans all that showed a preference regarding wearing of white. Shadid sawad ashar, that also the person here what they saw that was very dark. And also la yura alayhi athar safar. So even the person was unknown to them from being from the locals, and it's that also the person that he was somewhat appropriately dressed, and it mentioned that no one amongst us knew him or recognized him. So then it mentioned that the person came and sat in a way which is appropriate. Then also faqal ya Muhammad akhbarani an al-Islam. Then a person also poses question in a way which is showing concerning that asking question in a way which is showing politeness and asking question in a proper way, showing adab in the way that also he asked his question. Now this concern that's adab al-talib. We have finished concerning, or we'll come back to takhrij. So there's a story regarding the hadith. So this is the story that goes along with the hadith. So Ibn Umar anhu, that approached by this individual based upon al-qadr. So he found that people were discussing concerning matters relating to al-qadr. So also when they mentioned that, Ibn Umar anhu, then they mentioned, in the hadith they mentioned, so mentioned just not concern the adab of talib al-ilm in general, regarding in the majalis al-ilm, that he sit appropriate, also that he dress appropriate, and also that he pays attention and listen to what is being said, also not iltifat, not also that looking back and forth to his left, to his right, but he face the teacher. Then also in the qissa, in the story they mentioned regarding that, when both of them approach Ibn Umar, that one to his right and one to his left. One to his right and one to his left. Then also it shows regarding that knowledge, people go in seek of knowledge. Knowledge doesn't come to us that easily. So concerning that knowledge, it shows regarding ar-rahla fi talabat al-ilm, that a person should be the one who go and seek of knowledge. So we should be the one to go and seek of knowledge. And when we go in seek of knowledge, then this is the way of the Salaf. Then that's the way of the Salaf, that they will be the one to go and seek knowledge. As for the teacher, he doesn't go to people, you come to him. But today it's somewhat different, but the practice is that the teacher should be the one, the student come to the teacher, not the teacher going to the student. That it mentioned regarding concerning the person that mentioned that one of them spoke to Ibn Umar regarding the situation that they were facing. And the situation mentioned that, so he given a picture regarding the situation they're facing. Mentioned that what have appeared is that these individuals mention yaqra'un al-Quran, that these people that are discussing concerning matters regarding qadr, having ideas about qadr, that somewhat is problematic. Of those things, he described those individuals, yaqra'un al-Quran, that these are people who recite the Quran, they study the Quran. Yatakaffaruna al-ilm, yatakaffaruna ilm, that these are people who are people who seek of knowledge, people also who are and follow of knowledge. So people whom that they were seek of knowledge, tulabul ilm. So these people who give attention to knowledge and to ilm, these are the people who are He describing وَذَكْرْ مِنْ شَأْنِهِمْ, and also other things that were mentioned regarding their affairs. So it shows regarding at times bid'ah may come from people who are tulabul ilm. At times bid'ah may come from people who are tulabul ilm. And we have seen this. So not to look at the name of what people may call themselves, but look to the message that they carry, the content of their da'wah. So you might find people come and say, we are upon the sunnah, we have Ahl Sunnah, Atba' as-Salaf as-Salih. But when you look at the message and the content of their da'wah, you see things opposite to the way of the Salaf as-Salih. Even though they call to this, even though they may appear as such and give attention to ilm to some degree, but in reality they have shortcomings, and also they themselves fall into bid'ah. And this have been witnessed by those people in the time of this particular hadith or this story. So at times regarding those people, they show sign of ilm and give attention to ilm, but also they add bid'ah with them. And we see this even in today's time. And also that these people, they follow people of Ahl Bid'ah, Ma'bad al-Juhani, or the people or after of people who had deviated. So at times, as we mentioned, that people may have the appearance, they may speak to some degree the language of ilm, they may to some degree say that they are tulabul ilm, but they have things that with them that are signs of danger. So you find concerning talib al-ilm muta'assib towards Sheikh Fulan, whether of the people of the past or contemporary. You find a person, a talib al-ilm, or a group of people, they have ta'assub towards a particular sheikh, whether that sheikh of the past or of the present. They know that it's something that you have to be careful of. That's not a positive and a good sign. Where everything is referred back to that sheikh, then that's not something which is good. When there are many other ulama equally qualified, and those who may be more qualified than that sheikh, but everything go back to Sheikh Fulan, then that's not something good. Then that's a sign to be mindful of. When they're always promoting the sheikh over everyone else, and everyone that may have a view contrary to the view of that sheikh, they dismiss those views. But they will not accept anyone contradicting their sheikh. They will not accept you contradicting their sheikh. But they are allowed to disagree with other mashaykh. But others are not allowed to disagree with the views of their sheikh. Then that's a sign that is problematic. So that's of those things to be mindful of regarding what is mentioned in this particular hadith, and regarding of those things regarding the adab of the talib. Then it mentioned Ibn Umar free himself from them, and also for those people to inform, let them those that he free himself from those people to show regarding that a person have to draw a line between himself and Ahl Bid'ah. Draw a line between himself and Ahl Bid'ah, as mentioned here by Ibn Umar radiyallahu anhu. Then Ibn Umar, he mentioned the dalil for the stance that he has taken. That Ibn Umar, in clarifying the correct stance and position one should have regarding qadr, then you mention this hadith as his dalil. So it shows regarding the alim giving a dalil for the view or the position that he has given, or his fatwa. The alim giving dalil for his fatwa. So Ibn Umar radiyallahu anhu, he mentioned his dalil by mention an abihi hadathani abi Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhuma qala. So he mentioned the dalil regarding why he has taken the position and the stance that he have taken, and also to clarify those people the correct position regarding al-qadr. So that's concerning the story behind this particular hadith. And also, second, certain matters regarding the adab of the talib, for what can be taken from this particular, the story and the beginning part of the hadith. They asked regarding al-takhrij. The takhrij we mentioned regarding the hadith, as mentioned, the hadith that it is narrated by, this narration is by Imam Muslim. There's another narration by Imam Muslim and Bukhari, and that's the narration, the wording of Abu Hurairah and also Abu Dharr. Some of the wording of hadith varies, and the hadith also, as mentioned by Busiri, is in Kutub al-Sittah. It's in Kutub al-Sittah. You have certain wordings that varies in this particular hadith that they mention. For example, also Ibn Hibban, as mentioned by ibn-rajab rahimahullah, Ibn Hibban in his Sahih, that he mentioned this hadith, and he mentioned regarding concerning Islam, we find some narration of certain additional information, and some may not mention certain information were mentioned by other hadith. So you have a slight difference in the wording of the hadith. In Ibn Hibban, he mentioned وَتُحُجْ وَتَعْتَمَرْ وَتَغْتَسِلْ مِنَ الْجَنَابَةِ when he asked concerning al-Islam. So of those additional wording of Ibn Hibban, he mentioned and tuhuj وَتَعْتَمَرْ, to perform hajj. This is of Islam, to perform hajj, to perform umrah, and وَتَغْتَسِلْ من الجنابة, to perform al-ghusl from janaba, وأن تتم الوضوء, and to complete your wudu, وتصوم Ramadan, and to fast Ramadan. So that's the wording of Ibn Hibban regarding Islam. Additional wording that he added to his narration. So you find a slight difference in the wording regarding some of the narration of hadith. Also regarding al-Iman, قال, in some narration mentioned أن تؤمن بالجنة والنار, and it mentioned wal mizan, to believe in Jannah, wan nar, wal mizan. So you find slight difference in wording in some way. In some narration of Abu Hurairah anhu, he mentioned that it states ma al-iman, ma al-iman, qal al-iman an tu'min billah. Al-iman is to believe in Allah, wa malaikati, and to believe in his angels, wa kitab bihi, and the book, and his book, wa biliqa'ihi, and the meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wa rusulihi, and his messengers, wa tu'min bil ba'th al-akhir, and to believe in the final resurrection, which is yawm al-akhir. So you have slight difference in wording in some narrations. So that's concerning a takhrij of hadith. So the hadith in the Bukhari and Muslim and Abu Hurairah and Abu Dharr. Also the hadith narrated by Anas bin Malik. So you find several companions who have narrated this particular hadith. As for second matter, the next matter regarding Omar. So we discussed Omar ibn Khattab. We had stated that as a part of this explanation, that our comment that will mention something about the Sahaba. So Omar ibn Khattab was mentioned before in the first hadith, so there's no need to repeat his biography, Rata'ala anhu. As for commenting on the hadith, that makanat ada hadith, regarding concerning what have been stated regarding the virtue of this particular hadith. Ibn-rajab rahimahullah, he mentioned hada hadith azim jiddan, that this hadith is something of great importance. Yashtamil ala shar ad-din kulli, because this hadith, it consists of explaining the entire religion. Then he mentioned, the reason for this mentioned that hada Jibril, why? It's to explain the religion. Mentioned that because the Prophet ﷺ mentioned hada Jibril, this is Jibril ata'akum yu'allimukum dinukum, because the Jibril who came to teach you your religion. And this hadith, it comprises of explaining Arkan al-Islam, Usul Iman, and also Ihsan, what is Ihsan, and also Amaratul Sa, some of the signs of the Hawa. Qadi Iyad, rahimahullah, of those who explain Sahih Muslim. So Qadi Iyad, of the ulama who have explained Sahih Muslim, that he mentioned هذا حديث قد اشتمل على شر جميع وظائف إبادات الظاهرة. So Qadi Iyad rahimahullah, he had mentioned that as for this with the hadith, that you have explained all this hadith that you have explained, it comprises of explaining all the main components of ibadat. Al-Zahira, which is apparent, wal-Batina, and that which is internal. Min al-Uqud al-Iman, from the matters relating to Iman, wa-Amal al-Jawarih, and actions of the limbs, wal-Ikhlas Sara'ir, and also Ikhlas internally, wa-Tahaffuz min afat al-Amal, and for the person to protect themselves from wasteful actions. Hatta anna ulum sharia kullaha raji'atun ilay, where all of the ulum al-sharia all go back to this particular hadith. Kama qal Qadi Iyad. Also Al-Qurtubi قال هذا حديث يصلح أن يقال له, that this hadith is appropriate to be called Sunnah. This hadith is appropriate to be referred to as As-Sunnah. لما تضمنه من جمع العلم جمع as it contain the ilm of the Sunnah. So that's concerning what have been mentioned by some of the ulama pertaining to this particular hadith and its importance. In the narration of Abu Hurairah of this hadith, it mentioned that قال رسول الله عليه الصلاة والسلام that the Prophet was telling the companions, ask me matters. فهابوه أن يسألوه, but the companion felt shy in asking him questions. They didn't felt comfortable in asking questions. So it shows regarding that the person asks questions that are appropriate, not just to ask questions for the sake of asking questions that have no bearing. Then it mentioned فجاء رجل فجلس, then a person came and asked question. So it shows regarding concern that yes, of ilm, asking question, but asking questions that are appropriate, not just asking for the sake of asking. So after the lesson that they mentioned regarding this particular matter, also in the hadith it shows regarding that when Omar was asked, do you know atadri man hadha, do you know who it is called? Allah wa Rasuluhu alam, that he said, do you know who this person is? That it mentioned that Omar ibn Khattab mentioned Allah wa Rasuluhu alam, Allah and his best messenger know best. So it showed that a person does not know something, don't give an answer. So you don't know. I just say, not nisul ilm and yuqal Allahu alam. Half of knowledge, you say Allah and his Rasul knows best. With a person, if you don't know, do not give an answer. What you don't know, you do not answer. Also from the hadith, it shows that asking the appropriate people matters regarding the deen. Asking the appropriate people regarding matters of the deen. And not to put questions to people who are not qualified. Not to put questions regarding the deen to people who are not qualified. So and at times to ask those people who are specialists in their field. So knowing the people of their field and asking the people who are appropriate in that field. And also knowing the people who are specialists in their field. So knowing the fuqaha and all the ulama who are said to be the fuqaha, knowing the muhaddithin, and ask those people who are qualified in that field. So the person asking those people who are most qualified in their field and not putting any question to any person. So the talib al-ilm, to be mindful of this. Then he went on to ask concerning those matters regarding what the questioner asked. Some narrations, they have like taqdeem or ta'khir. In some narration, that the one that is read, that asks, what is Islam, what is Iman, what is Ihsan, and then the signs of the hour. In some narration, that what is Iman may be asked first before Islam. So you might find a slight change in which question is asked first, depending on some of the narrations. So you find this does occur. And the hadith, so the hadith concern, we mentioned the hadith that is narrated by several books of hadith. With that, we'll stop for today regarding that matter, and then when we continue, inshaAllah, that we'll discuss concerning the fawaid, the shar of the hadith, and the fawaid of the hadith. So what will come next is regarding the fawaid of the hadith and the benefits that and the explanation of the hadith. We'll discuss that in the next sitting. So for today, we have mentioned the hadith, takhrij of the hadith from different sources that the hadith have been narrated. We didn't mention about the author, as is mentioned before, Omar al-Khattab, as is the narrator of the hadith. And we mentioned certain things regarding the story relating to this particular hadith, where certain individuals came to ask a certain question, and also from that we gain certain benefits regarding certain adab that a talib al-ilm should be mindful of, and also knowing what the people that we should refer back to regarding matters regarding the deen. So with that, inshaAllah, we'll stop at this point regarding commenting on this hadith, and we'll continue in the next session. وبالله تعالى توفيق وهادي إلى سبيل والآخر دعوانا الحمد لله آمين. أيوة سؤال. Okay, one first.
Why should you look to the way the scholar prays? Why not that his actions or something?
Because salat is a thing that he done on a regular basis, on a daily basis. So if the scholar, as Ibn Khayyim rahimahullah, that he pays attention to salah. That he pays attention to salah. So everything else, he'll give it that due attention. If one, as Azim says, the Muslim in general, doesn't pay attention to the salah, then anything else, he become relaxed in other things. So for the person, the Muslim, and for the scholar and the talib al-ilm, the thing that to kind of somewhat to distinguish how much attention he gives to his salah. As this thing is done on a 5 times a day the least. So if he gives attention to this, then most likely what is expected that he will give attention to all other things. To other things, he will give them their appropriate attention. Once, twice it occurred that there's a person that is said to be a da'i, 2 of them said to be da'i, and I prayed beside both of them, separate occasion. Wallahi, when I finished praying beside them, my heart was beating fast. I couldn't believe the way that they were praying. It was like kids praying. It was like children praying. And if I were to mention their name, you wouldn't believe. And these people says, no, du'at, as they claim. But when they prayed and I saw them prayed, I could not believe the way that they were praying. It was like children praying. And it showed that they giving attention to salah. So from that point, I know these people, Allah Mustan. From that, I know Allah Mustan regarding these people. So as was mentioned that, Ibn Khayyim rahimahullah, that he had mentioned regarding of those things to look concerning the da'i, whether is that is salah, because done repeatedly in each day. So something to bear attention. Look to his level of how he give to the sunnah, in following of the sunnah. And also his love towards the sunnah. And also that the da'i, he doesn't call to himself. So it's not about calling people to himself. These are the 3 things to be mindful of regarding the da'i. Or to start with. Things to start with. That they don't call to themselves, trying to draw attention to themselves, but rather is drawing attention to the Sunnah and to the Quran. They try to direct people towards those things, not about themselves. Like to talk about themselves, or we talk about, we find concerning the Da'i, or we talk about himself. I did this, and telling your story 1,000,000 times. You told your story once, khalas. Why you need to tell your story 1,000,000 times? And to have lecture all the time talking about your own story. Why? So those things sometimes is not a good sign. Nam? Aywa? Huh? The one that we mentioned regarding concerning that, said that this one is called Jami' al-Usul fi Ahadeeth al-Rasul. So that this is by Ibn Asir rahimahullah. So this particular book, it comes in many volumes. But the author, this book, the method of the author is to gather the wording of Ahadith that are mentioned in Kutub as-Sitta. As we mentioned that for him, Kutub as-Sitta, he replaced ibn-rajab with Muwatta. So you mention a hadith, then he'll mention, for example, hadith, then he mention, for example, hadith 499. He mentioned Kha'dal, meaning Bukhari Abu Dawud. Then he mentioned Abdullah ibn Abbas, meaning that's the narrator of the hadith. Then he mentioned Rata'ala anhuma. قال كان أهل اليمن يحجون لا يتزودون. Then he mentioned a hadith. So that's concerning that you will mention concerning that the wording of the hadith. Then he mentioned أخرجه Bukhari wa Abu Dawud, but he will mention concerning the wording of hadith that is found in Kutub as-Sitta. So it become a reference regarding that matter. Ibn al-Athir. So that inshallah ta'ala will end here and continue. Wabillahi tawfiq.